And welcome. I am Greg from Scuba Radio, Greg the Dive Master. If you check us out at scubaradio.com every Saturday, 3 to 5 Eastern. Today, however, we're not doing Scuba Radio. We're not even doing the Level Up podcast. We're doing something very cool today to learn about a new piece of dive gear that pretty much every diver is going to want to know about. It's called the DIVO. And to help us find out what this thing is all about is my good buddy, Dan Orr. Dan, how you doing? And what can you tell us about the DIVO?
Yeah, doing well, Greg. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And to start this out in full disclosure, I want to let everybody know that I do have a consulting agreement with DIVO. Just so everybody knows.
That's good. He should know his stuff.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
Yeah, but we're going to work through finding out what this new piece of dive gear is for the industry, and then we got an entire cool panel of dive industry experts to kind of discuss it and maybe see how this might it could be the next big thing for the dive industry. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
Could very well be. And I want to start off by having the DIVO team introduce themselves.
Fair enough.
Yanni?
Sorry,
there he is.
My mic on mute. Hello, my name is Janne. I am one of the mentors for this device.
Welcome. Yeah. All right. All the way from Switzerland, by the way, right?
Yeah. Oh, Sweden.
Sweden. I'm sorry. It started with an S.
Some of the same letters.
Yes.
Same.
Exactly. Well, that's what I do. Sorry. And our other guy is who?
Ola.
Ola, welcome.
Yes. Co-inventor with Janne. And as said, diver, engineer, as Janne come from live industry, music, and diving instructor.
All right, good.
It's 2001, I think.
All right, he's from Sweden or Switzerland too, right, Dan? Just so we're clear.
Both Sweden.
Okay, both Sweden. Just so we're clear.
Semantic discussion.
Right. All right. Well, yeah, they're the inventors, Dan. So they came up with what exactly? What is the DIVO? What is it?
Well, first of all, I want to make sure that has anybody in this focus group heard of DIVO before?
Kinda, for me. I've heard the name. Jeff? That's about all I know.
And Alex has?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, well, tell me what you... Patty, that's cheating, Patty. You shouldn't do that. Okay, Jeff, why don't you tell us what you've heard?
Well, I haven't heard a lot. I've been able to see, look at the advertisement when I first came across it in the journal, and I went out to look at some of the materials online. And I know since then there's been a little bit more information provided in the industry magazine. So that's pretty much as I know about it. I know about it being a safety device. I know about it being something that will potentially get someone back to the surface that might be having an issue. But a lot of questions about just how that works and in what scenarios will it or won't it work, because I've been on a dive where there was a fatality, and it didn't matter whether that diver was going to get to the surface or not because the regulator were out of their mouth at depth. So, a little bit of questions around how that's going to work in those scenarios.
Yeah. And Alex, what have you heard?
Pretty much the same as Jeff. If I can put my if I remember correctly, I think, was there not a similar device a couple of decades back?
There was.
That had the same objective.
Yeah, it was a little different because it was actually coming from the regulator itself rather than the inflator for the power inflator.
I see. Yeah, I knew there was something similar to it, but just what's been what I've been reading in the magazine, your article, and the ad, very interesting.
Right. I thought it was some kind of updated version of DIVO, especially when one of the inventors said he had a music background, but that's probably just me, right?
It's just you.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I figured.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment before we go on to the slideshow? Okay. If we can share the screen, and William, you're going to take care of that?
He is. He's going to give it a go.
Hold on a second here. Let's make sure we've got everything working. Okay.
right.
Let me know. Can you see the slideshow?
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
Dan, you're in control of the slideshow, so it looks great here.
Sounds good. Very, very good. Okay, so this is the DIVO product and marketing information, and it starts off with the information from Divers Alert Network. Now, this actually came from a 2008 report that was done by Dr. Petar Denoble at DAN. It was while I was actually working there. Petar actually analyzed 947 diving-related fatalities. And one of the things they looked at were triggering events. And 41% of those triggering events were people who ran out of breathing gas underwater. So that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about through the slideshow, because this is one of the things that this device will help prevent. So when you look at the main functions, the automatic function test, when the diving system is pressurized, DIVO automatically tests all the functions, all the breathing sensors, time delay chamber, and the out-of-air guard valves for maximum safety during the dive. Automatic start and stop. The DIVO automatically starts in standby mode when the system is pressurized. So whenever you pressurize your regulator, it automatically starts. The device is activated at 1.5 meters on the descent, that's about 5 feet, and returns to standby mode when the diver reaches the surface. DIVO monitors the diver's breathing activity in the diving system, that's the regulator system and cylinder system. If the diver's breathing ceases for more than 35 seconds, DIVO automatically inflates the diver's buoyancy compensator and lifts the diver to the surface. There is something called an out-of-air guard. The DIVO monitors how much breathing gas is in the scuba cylinder. When the gas level drops to 72 psi, or about 5 bar, the BCD automatically inflates and brings the diver to the surface. There is a reset function, and the inflation process can always be reset by pressing the deflate button to return to normal operating mode. So you can see the device here, and you can see how simple it is. At the top of the self-test button is an integrated 360-degree LED strip. It's designed to automatically activate when the system descends below 1.5 meters, or about 5 feet, and deactivates upon ascending above this depth or on your way to the surface. The LED emits a flashing neon green light visible from all angles, all the way around 360 degrees, ensuring maximum visibility to both the diver and the diving companions. This enables the diver and the others to confirm that DIVO is active and functioning. When the breathing guard activates the emergency inflation mode of the BCD, the LED indicator will change to a solid, bright neon light. The electronic LED circuit is integrated within the self-test button, isolated and with no contact with the main functions. Breathing guard. DIVO continuously monitored, as we talked about before, continuously monitored breathing activity. Again, if the breathing stops for 35 seconds, it automatically inflates the BCD, safely lifting the diver to the surface. The release time for inflation can be easily modified by adjusting the volume in the time chamber, for example, from 20 to 35 to 50 seconds, according to the individual preference, with custom adjustment screws. These selected release time is clearly indicated on the head of the adjustment screw at the bottom of the outside of the inflator part. And for summary, we go ahead and go on to the benefits of DIVO. Safety, of course, has always been focused on solid education, training, and making sure that the diver is safe and understands how everything works in the diving system. If something goes wrong below the surface, and the only help is going to be yourself or your diving companions. Many outdoor activities, we all know, have certain risks and may be difficult to predict. No one has identified risks of scuba diving as clearly as the DIVO creators. DIVO automatically adjusts to any breathing regulator, so any regulator system that you have. Works on any BCD, simply replacing the power inflator or the auto inflator with a single zip tie. No user serviceable parts. It's estimated that can be used for 5 years or more. Works in any normal recreational scuba environment, any culture, any climate, and location. It's training friendly. It does not require any special procedures. So when you think about it, it really is a very simple system with a major contributing factor, and that is it can save lives. DIVO is not just an incremental improvement. It changes perceptions of diving safety and introduces a new paradigm. By implementing cutting-edge technology, DIVO ensures ease of use and maximum protection. The innovation provides a strategic advantage for the company that sells the device, allowing the company to become a market leader in diving safety. In addition, DIVO significantly increases safety in the event of unforeseen incidents, for example, like you were talking about, Jeff, and can potentially reduce the number of fatal outcomes by bringing these divers who may be unconscious or incapacitated in some way to the surface where they can receive immediate attention, because it's far better to have that incapacitated, unconscious diver on the surface than try to find that person later on the bottom. And that can, of course, assist in life-saving. DIVO may reduce the number of accidents with a fatal outcome caused by such conditions as heart attacks, strokes, epileptic seizures, or other related situations where the person becomes incapacitated, possibly unconscious, and has no ability to come to the surface on their own. So, perception and paradigm. The market perception of this paradigm shift will likely be shaped by several positive factors, especially since the technology is integrated into existing components without requiring any additional equipment or training. Here are some of the key insights that you need to discuss. Increased usability and simplicity, as we talked about before. Since no new components or training are needed, the market hopefully will view this as a practical and user-friendly solution. It can be used by novice and experienced divers because of the enhanced safety without needing any extra training or purchasing any additional expensive specialized equipment. Enhanced safety without complexity. Again, we talked about how simplistic this device is. The market will appreciate enhanced safety without added complexity. Traditionally, safety innovations have often required extensive training or entirely new systems. But in this case, the paradigm shift demonstrates that safety can be improved with minimal barriers to use. And that, of course, is a very important thing when you're selling this especially to new divers who are coming into the sport for the first time. Increased trust in technology. Since the technology is patented and built into an existing standard, the market will perceive this as reliable and proven solution. The fact that it doesn't require drastic or dramatic changes to existing equipment will boost the user's confidence and accelerate adoption, especially in professional diving environments. Cost effectiveness and easy implementation. Companies in the diving industry will likely appreciate the cost-effective implementation as it doesn't involve significant investments in new equipment. The paradigm shift represents a long-term solution without the need for frequent upgrades or additional training. Industry leadership and differentiation. Companies that adopt this new standard early will be seen as industry leaders and can use the product to differentiate themselves from competitors. And of course, this system will do a lot for you because it's simply used, easily adapted, and easily used in training. And so that's the general gist of DIVO. Excuse me.
Like it.
Okay.
Seems like a pretty common sense solution to something that, we probably have all encountered at one time or another, unfortunately, whether it was an accident or not, from my perspective. I mean, have you been in a scenario yourself, Dan, where you thought, hey, this DIVO would have possibly done the trick and created a better outcome?
In fact, having worked at Dan for all those years and having read a lot of accident reports, there are a lot of situations where, for one thing, the person could not be reached in time to really make a rescue effective, like Jeff was talking about. Also, a number of situations where the body was never recovered, and therefore the family never had closure. And with a device like this, that situation can't happen.
Agreed.
Okay. Gil.
So looks like a very simple and marvelous system. Is it easy enough to install for the novice diver, or you have to bring it to your dive shop to ensure that it works correctly?
Okay, we'll let the inventors answer that question.
Which one? Which one do we wants to handle that that question? Go.
Janne or me?
Ola, take that one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, first of all, it's quite easy to install. I actually have one unit here.
All right.
Can you hold it closer? Hold it closer.
You can see it.
Yeah.
It's good to see it life size.
Yeah, exactly. So the only thing you do when you mount it is to take your
Inflator hose. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you take away the old inflator and just put on the pin, and then you just thread it over it and put on the plastic strap, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only thing you need to do. Yes.
Okay.
Gil?
I have a second question. What is the cost, and would you offer volume discounts to like 60 people in my dive club?
Hmm.
Good idea.
Too early to know, maybe? Or what? What do you think?
Yeah, wait. Sorry.
That's okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We got you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. It's unfortunately still a little bit too early to answer that question.
Right.
It mainly depends on which of the existing producers we will finally cooperate with.
Gotcha.
But we know that the customer price will be in the same price range as a safe second inflator.
Okay.
All right. Well, that makes
Is
sense. I got a question. Ola.
okay answer?
Yeah. Ola, what
Yes.
about this? What can you tell us as far as how much this thing weighs? And the one you held up to the camera just a minute ago, is that a final production model, or is it still kind of evolving?
This is one of the two the test and diving prototypes that we have. It's made of aluminium.
Okay.
And it's about twice as heavy as it probably is going to be when it's finished, because most probably would be plastics in some way.
Gotcha.
How much does it weigh? Like, it's going to weigh slightly more than just the
Typical inflator
spark regulator.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So,
Okay.
Hey, William, you want to show a video now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, he's showing it right now. I see it.
Good.
You can kind of see it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it looks just maybe, how they have it right now, maybe slightly bigger than your average inflator, but not by much.
Right.
Yeah.
it's about the size of a second, like say Air 2.
It is
Like an
actually
Air 2.
a little bit smaller than Atomic SS1.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it looks
Here you
compact.
can see I
Looks
pressed-
good. It looks
I
kind of cool
pressed-
too, by the way. I will say, if I saw that, I was like, hey, what the heck is that? It might be a good conversation starter on the dive boat. Yeah.
Okay, what are we seeing now, William?
So this is the demonstration of the actual functionality. When it counts down to 27 seconds, I believe, Ola, isn't that correct? That's when
Yeah,
it's going to, yeah.
Timer
just when the
starts
next-
here.
So the timer-
Now I'm holding my breath.
Oh,
He's been holding his breath for 30 seconds to show the activation here that's going to take off here.
Gotcha.
So this is a great example to see it actually in function.
Mm-hmm. And so is it working via like some little microcomputer, or is there a little dive guy built inside this thing that's going to trigger it at the right time, or is it
There it
all,
goes. See, it's just gently raising the diver.
about that? Okay. That makes sense.
Now, the first question that most people were going to have as a dive instructor is, don't we train really hard to avoid uncontrolled emergency ascents?
Yes, we do. Never hold your breath. Can't do that.
Which works for everybody unless you're unconscious.
Correct.
Right.
And that's what this is for. If there's someone's incapacitated in some way, or something's happened to them, this is going to jump in and possibly be a lifesaver, or at least, keep us from doing a search and recovery situation if something has happened tragically underwater, I guess. Right, Dan? What do you think?
I mentioned before, I mean, they're far better to have them on the surface than it is to have to do a prolonged search to find them underwater. And by that time, it may be too late to do any resuscitation.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea is to. Yes.
Alex has a question.
Alex Brilski.
Yeah, you mentioned the Atomic SS1, and I'm wondering if you've considered adapting it to those types of devices, the Air 2 and the dual functioning inflator octopus systems.
In the future, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
To expand it to safe second inflator.
Makes sense. That'd be in the DIVO 2.0, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Someone was asking about computers and
Yes.
it's fully mechanical.
It's all mechanical. So there's no digital computers that can go haywire on you. This is all kind of solid state kind of stuff or mechanical parts that are going to either work or not.
Yes.
Right?
It's pure mechanical.
Gotcha.
No.
Makes sense. And I think that's a good way to go for sure. Samantha Witchcraft has a question, I believe, there, Dan.
Yes, Samantha.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for telling us about this. Dan, I can share with everybody that you were my best dive buddy ever because you do the most complete pre-dive check of any human on the planet. So it's great.
I was going to say the same thing about you.
How about that?
Oh, thank you. So that gets to my question. I apologize about the phone. It's the only landline in the county.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
So I have two questions. One is, does the system have an audible alarm, like right before it's about to go off? The reason I ask is because if there are other divers around, that might be helpful to let them know that there's an actual emergency and not that this person is just slowly ascending. And then my second question was, I know you said it doesn't require any additional training, but Dan, you know how I am about this stuff. So a million years ago, when I got open water certified, I had an Air 2 on an old Scuba Pro. I think it was a Scuba Pro BCD. It was long enough ago that because it was a girl's BCD, it had pink trim. Anyway, I had, as part of my open water training, I had to be trained on the Air 2 because I didn't have an octopus, which I fully agree with. So one of the things I can think of that maybe it's not a formal training, but maybe it's in a video that comes along with when you purchase it or something. If somebody is planning to have this because it's a stopgap measure in case they are unconscious and they go to the surface, then that diver might also want to check their other equipment and how they sit when they're at the surface. Because if the way your equipment is set up that at the surface you're face up, as an unconscious diver, you're much more likely to survive that event than if you get to the surface and you're face down. So more experienced divers would obviously think of that, but when you say that it's totally available to brand new divers, there's some aspects of it that I would love to see knowledgeably be shared with all divers and especially new divers.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea because having an orientation of some sort, it could be an orientation that's video or in some other way. I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you got back inflatable BCs and you had this device on it, you would definitely want to make sure you're weighted. So if you were uncontrollably lifted to the surface. Well, going back to the first station, or our first question, Ola, what is there a little alarm that goes off before it triggers? We didn't hear it on the video, but is there one?
No, it's no alarm.
Okay.
That is installed on it because first it adds to complexity.
Sure.
When it comes to it, because it's mechanical.
Right. Well, then you're in the computer aspect in there that's only going to fail on us, right?
So basically, it's when you try to do things like this, is to have it as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to situations where we're talking about people that are irrational or incapacitated or any other way unconscious, I mean, well, it's possible to add it with at a later date, of course, at the Mark II or Mark III or whatever. But to start off with, it's not included. It's been discussed, but it
Right.
adds some complexity and water ingress in
Yeah.
it that we don't want to have. So yes.
Samantha, what do you think?
Yep, you had a question?
Yeah, so it's totally fine, probably, for it not to have an alarm at this stage, but that gets back to the training, whatever training component or orientation video or whatever you want to provide, to say to a new diver who might not think of this, that this system doesn't have an alarm. So you should set your computer alarm to register an ascent under those conditions. And that way, your wrist mount or BCD mount computer knows to set off an audible alarm should those conditions happen. But I'm not sure a new diver would think of that either.
Yeah, I agree. Hill, you had a question?
Yeah, is it battery operated? Is it just operated by air pressure from the regulator?
It's operated directly from the low pressure system after the first stage.
Okay.
So it's very easy to just plug it in through the normal hose, and then it reads what happens in the first stage, and then it reads what happens on the outside. So it's basically two inputs. Inputs from the first stage, what happens up there, and then you have the ambient pressure around that decides what happens.
So no battery to change or anything on this?
Nothing.
Right.
It's
like
no
it.
batteries.
I like
nothing.
the simplicity. It makes sense.
Yeah, Jeff, I see you thinking. Is there a question you had there?
The batteries are not included because they're not needed.
They're not there.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Jeff.
Yeah, I have a question on the on how it determines the 35 seconds of breathing. Is that start from the inhalation, and is it 35 seconds until the next breath you take? Because I was talking to my wife about this, and she said, I don't know if that would work for me because I don't think I breathe that much. I swear she puts gas back into the cylinder. So how is that measured? It's measured on the inhalation when the first stage, when the IP drops?
I have a little thing to share here. I can show you exactly what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to pull up a screen
this
there.
one.
There we go.
Can you see?
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. Let's see. You can see two lines here. On the y-axis, you have the pressure, and then you have time on the x-axis. And what happens is that what we do with this is to catch the cracking pressure in the first stage. When you take a breath, you take some volume out of the low pressure system, and then you need to refill that. You see it on the red curve.
Yep.
So every time you take a breath or have some sort of activity in the system, like for instance, if you have if you push on the inflate button, for instance, or if you have a dry suit, then it's going to sense that all forms of actions in the system are going to measure it as an activity. So basically, from you have taken a breath or done something, it's going to count here all the way to until you take the next breath or action. If you exceed 35 seconds, then it's going to start inflate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we're doing this is because no first stage has the same pressure, right? I mean, if you use an Aqualung or you use a Maris or a Apex or a Scuba Pro, they will all be different. They will all be different during the dive. So this one is just handling the differential pressure inside. So it can oscillate during the dive. It doesn't matter. That's why it's adaptable to all systems. The currently is. So you can put this on. You can put this one on Cousteau's original Aqualung, and it will work.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, we're running short of time here, folks.
Yeah.
But how did you come up with 35 seconds? Is that adjustable at all.
From the beginning, it was. I can shut that one off. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. Was that one of the pins that you said you could adjust when we were going through the presentation? Yeah, a little bit.
35 seconds has taken a while to get, and basically we've used the medical expertise in the diving industry for it to come up with that with assistance from Dan Europe, some from the US, and other medical doctors in Germany and Sweden and
plus,
Norway.
if you're taking more than 35 seconds for a breath of air, you're not human anyway, I think. You're more of an Aquaman kind of fish type creature.
But 35 seconds is longer than you think.
Hey, we have one more. We have one last question because this is a group. So does anybody have any ideas about what's needed to bring this to the market? Jeff.
Yeah. Excuse me. It would be great as additional, because I've seen more people get in trouble with depth than not breathing. So if they're exceeding their depth, is there some way to measure that to start inflating that BC automatically? Or if they're overweighted, that would be incredibly valuable, I think.
That might be in the DIVO 2.0 as well, or maybe even 3.0. Ola, what do you think?
It might be.
Since we are running out of time, let's go around and see if anybody has any final comments. I'll start with you, Jeff.
I appreciate it. I think, one of the things is getting the person to the surface, obviously, is an important piece. Still concerns about AGE, lung overexpansion, things like that. And as Samantha said, being face down in the water up front. But, it sounds like it's a lot of engineering going into it. So we'll see how it gets perceived.
Good. Thank you. Samantha.
I think overall it's a really great idea. And I agree that getting a non-responsive diver to the surface is super important. I think it has great potential. I think an alarm to let the divers around know audibly if they're not looking at the diver in distress, I think that might be really important. And the associated training module or video or whatever. But I think obviously it's a positive step forward for safety if used correctly. Yeah.
Okay, Gil?
I think it's a great product idea. Obviously, you're going to premiere it at DIMA, and if you can get a lot of buzz and PR out of that, then you're on your way to promoting it. But it would also be great to get a tie-in with Scuba Pro or the other regulated manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. Alex?
Yeah, it's great to hear that it's fully mechanical. I think it's going to come down to price point. If it comes in at a very reasonable price for, without, reduce the resistance for people to try it. I think, and a couple successful examples where it has worked, so it's like most things in most equipment in the dive industry, especially in introduction, it's going to come down to price point.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, anything we can do to increase safety is going to be good for us all.
Agreed.
So thank you all very much. We appreciate you being involved in the focus group.
Wait, one more. Patty and Britton, do you have any comments? Because Britton, you have a very different perspective.
Okay.
We were just talking about the only question that was left for us is the maintenance aspect, long-term maintenance, and where would you do that?
Ola?
Well, we're not really 100% set exactly. I mean, the parts inside will probably keep on clicking for years, but exactly how the maintenance part is set, it's not really set. There's going to be, of course, a way to do maintenance on it. But
you've made it quite simplistic as far as the design, it sounds like.
Yeah. Can I jump in real quick here, Ola? Because just the interest of time, the whole cartridge is designed so that the mechanics, the brain of it, can be unscrewed very easily with a special screwdriver. And replaced. So the thought process right now is you give a 3 to 5 year service life for that device. You just send it in, you get a new one back. It's simple. It can be done on the back of a dive boat. It doesn't require a technician. There is no class you're going to hold at DEMA to do a maintenance on it because there is no user serviceable parts. So that's part of the ingeniousness that Ola has designed, is a piece that is completely pneumatic, using, also, he didn't talk about this, but they use rare earth magnets to control some of the processes within it. It's very, very high-tech piece of equipment for what it is. But we are running into a time barrier right now.
Fair enough. Well, I guess we need to wrap it up then, Dan. You ready?
Thank you all very much for your input.
Yeah. Good
Thank you,
stuff.
everybody.
Check out the DIVO. Coming to a dive shop near you. And we'll catch up with you next time on the Level Up podcast and Dive Industry Magazine, and of course Scuba Radio every Saturday. Till then, remember, it's always better down where it's wetter.